Time, Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, is the fix in no matter what? This is going to take us to YouTube, to a Middle Nation video called The Election Ritual, The Illusion of American Democracy. We're going to watch it, and then we'll discuss it.
I mean, divided in so many ways. It isn't just that the divides are deep, it's that the divides are so many. Black and white, race against race, advocates of this issue against opponents of this issue, even men against women and women against men. There isn't a single category within that society that doesn't have some corresponding nemesis. It's just divide and conquer, playing out domestically. And Democrats and Republicans is just another one of these divisions, because the country has been conquered by corporate economic imperialists. Look, I don't care who you vote for in November, because power doesn't care who you vote for in November. I've said it before. If you imagine that unelected power of the private sector is going to entrust the public with deciding how things are going to be run and who's going to run things, then you're living in a fantasy. It's absurd. America has subverted, sabotaged, and strangled democracies all around the world. They've been interfering with, tampering with, rigging elections across the globe for decades, from Haiti to Honduras, from Italy to Iran, from Syria to South Africa. They've toppled governments, assassinated elected officials, fixed elections, bribed and bullied and bulldozed democracies on every continent for a century. They don't think that any population in any country in the world can be trusted to elect leaders who will safeguard the interests of the American elite. So what makes you think that they're going to trust you with that power? They rig elections and install whoever they want in country after country, but somehow you think that they're not going to do that in your country. Well, how naive can you be? Listen, the election cycle in America is nothing but a mechanism for what you can call the campaign industrial complex, whereby billions upon billions of dollars of contributions, your money, are funneled into the private sector. I mean, when you donate to a politician or you donate to a candidate, where do you think that money goes? It goes directly to business. You're not doing anything but increase the revenue streams of consultancies, ad agencies, analytics firms, PR firms, media companies, social media companies, digital marketing agencies, events coordinators, on and on. This is nothing but the public providing basically an economic stimulus package to unproductive industries. It's a wealth transfer that you yourselves are participating in. You're literally just donating money to the private sector and getting nothing in return. Getting nothing in return except that you get to watch the most expensive fan fiction movie about democracy ever produced. I mean, look at the Democrats. Kamala Harris was just appointed as the nominee. She wasn't voted for. This is straight up succession, not election. There were no primaries. She hasn't had to outline her policy platform, and no one needs her to do that. All she has to do is to not be Donald Trump. This is the logic of demonization versus policy debate as a campaign strategy. No candidate has to win your approval as long as the whole election is framed in the lesser of two evils scenario. And what's the point of that? To make the pre-programmed win seem plausible, that's all. And to not leave any opening for dissent to manifest that might make the win seem implausible. Because, for instance, if voters actually have demands of this candidate or that candidate, and the candidate fails to address those demands, then it could cast doubt upon their eventual victory. And inevitably, if a candidate does address voter demands, well, that will always end up alienating some other faction of voters. So we don't talk about issues. We don't talk about how to deal with issues. We just rally behind our party's candidate in lockstep, because the other party's candidate is literally the devil incarnate. When you're operating in the lesser of two evils framework, you're always going to have decidedly low expectations of your chosen candidate. And that's perfect when the election is already fraudulent in the first place. So this uncomplicates the rigging process. Yes, I said rigging. And don't think for a second, don't you imagine that that's a conspiracy theory, that the U.S. rigs elections. But between 1946 and 2000, America is documented to have interfered with, tampered with, malignly influenced or outright rigged at least 88 elections from Europe to Latin America to Asia to Africa. So again, if you think that they'll do this everywhere else, but your so-called democracy is pristine, I would have to ask you why you think so. Why would it be more important to the power structure to control the outcome of an election in, say, Guyana than it would be for them to control the outcome of an election in the United States of America. Because yes, Guyana is one of the countries where America rigged elections in the past. I'm telling you, I don't care who you vote for, because power doesn't care who you vote for, because the outcome is not determined by you. You know, Biden stepped aside because his pre-programmed victory could never be convincing. But look, Biden himself, the fact of Biden, a man who is literally in late stage senility, a man who is visibly disintegrating before our eyes, the very fact that he was not only president, but was absolutely going to be run for another term, despite being a cadaver on strings, that should let you know that power does not reside in that office. Politicians serve two functions. The first is to distract you with the performance of democratic government, and the second is to be effigies that can be burned to satisfy public anger when the policies dictated by the private sector impose misery on the population. So when an American asks me who should they vote for, or when they say that this one is better than that one, or at least not as bad as that one, and what do I think, and so on and so on and so on, well, you may as well be asking me about which Marvel superhero is better than the other, because you're not talking to me about figures who have any real significance with regards to policy. You're not talking to me about figures who actually exert any control over anything. You're not talking about the real existing power structure. You're asking me to give you an opinion about a fictional scenario in which your government wields independent power. As long as you're fixated on this charade, there's no danger whatsoever of you ever having any impact on policy. You're just facilitating and collaborating with the divide and conquer tactics of the owners and controllers of global financialized capital. And I don't know how you can be so propagandized, to be honest. I don't know how you can be so propagandized that you can't even notice that actually your own media does tell you every day that the government is not in charge. I mean, how many times have you read, or how many times have you heard in the media, the market will decide? We'll have to see what the market does, and so on. But when they say the market, they don't mean you and I. They mean big business, multinational corporations, asset managers, stock market whales, not voters, not citizens, not Democrats, and not Republicans. You live in an oligarchy, and your so-called democracy is only performed as a distraction to keep you from noticing that fact. Now, for this election in the U.S., as I've said, Harris and Trump are just mascots representing two different factions of the OCGFC. And it's going to be just like what happened in Venezuela. The only way that Trump can win is by trying to out-rig the election rigging of the Democrats. But the Democrats are the incumbents, like Maduro was. So they have the advantage of overseeing the succession, and Harris is likely to win. The only thing that Trump can do is to try to boost his own popularity to the point that Harris's pre-programmed victory looks less plausible. But like I said before, it's not musical chairs where both candidates are walking in circles around the chair until the music stops, and then they have to race for the seat. Kamala is already in the seat, just like Maduro, and it's harder to get someone out of that seat than it is to just sit in it. So it looks like the neocons will probably stay in the White House. And that just means that the real battle between the military-industrial complex OCGFC and the global-oriented OCGFC, that battle is just going to go on a while longer. But if you're fool enough to think that you have to drop everything in order to ensure that Kamala Harris will win and Trump will lose, well, then you're literally like someone who can watch those old Roadrunner cartoons and still get worried and anxious about whether or not the coyote is going to catch him. I mean, I know it's important for you to think that you have some kind of control, but the truth is, the reality is you're not writing this story, and you're not writing how this story goes. And as long as you think that you are writing how this story goes or participating in it in any way whatsoever, then that just ensures that you will always be nothing but a spectator. Unless and until you redirect your activism towards the private sector, and I mean organize and mobilize with the understanding that, for example, corporations are political entities. So treat them as such, deal with them as such, impose expectations and demands upon them as such. Unless and until you do that, all your get out the vote initiatives, all your campaigning, all your voting will never do anything for social and political change except to ensure that it won't happen. Boeing, for example, just used your government to make around $20 billion. Boeing, Raytheon, and all the other merchants of death and destruction. They just got $20 billion of your money to keep the genocide going in Gaza. That's their policy. Zionism is their policy. Genocide is their policy, and they're doing it for money. And they give almost evenly to the Democrats as they do to the Republicans, except they give slightly more to the Democrats. And it's almost even between what they give to Kamala Harris and to Donald Trump. They contributed a bit more to Harris. I shouldn't actually say contribute, I should say invest, because they give that money as an investment from which they expect astronomical returns, which they will get. These are the entities that control your policy. It's not your ballot, it's their billions. Your government is captured, and your country has been captured, and power and decision-making has been transferred from the public sector to the private sector. Your laws and your policies are written by corporate lawyers, not by congressmen. You know, your democracy has actually become like the British monarchy. It's just an empty tradition. You know, you go out to vote the same way that British people will go out and line the streets just to watch the king pass by on a horse and carriage. It's just a nod to the lore and heritage of your society. It's a ritual that has no real significance beyond the psychological and the emotional. It's a collective, society-wide, self-soothing gesture. America is a corporate authoritarian system cosplaying as a democracy. And everybody around the world sees you. You know, you people who are campaigning for Trump or campaigning for Harris, everyone around the world sees you as someone who's like at a cosplay event and dressed up like Iron Man, but who actually thinks that the buttons on his costume work. We have to elect Trump, or the meteor is going to destroy the earth. We have to elect Harris, or multi-dimensional aliens will kill us all. You're really invested in the fantasy storyline. But nobody in the world thinks that your democracy exists except for you. Because we know all too well what your democracy looks like when you export it to us. And you have the same one that you sent us, which means that you don't have one either. Look, you are not constituents of politicians, you're constituents of companies, and you need to organize yourselves along these lines. Democratize private sector power. At some point, your activism and your strategy has to actually be informed by the real existing power dynamics in your society, not just by the official version of the power structure that they taught you in civics class. Until you do that, I'm telling you that the harder you work for this party or the harder you work for that party, well, you're doing nothing but fortify and reinforce your own disenfranchisement and your own irrelevance.
I tend to like that guy when he speaks. Apparently, Provide Triggers for Evolution is a fan. She says, this is Shahid Bolson. She said, greetings to all, by the way. She says, I love this guy's commentaries, always dropping bombs. So thank you for being here, Provide Triggers for Evolution. By the way, if you guys aren't on the Discord yet, make sure you join the Discord. The link is in the description. Join the Discord. You can also post whatever topics you like to discuss on Shoot the Breeze as well. With that said, let me mix it up a little bit. Let me start with Oni on this one. Oni, is the fix in no matter what? What would say you to that prompt in relation to the video that we just watched?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the dude was cooking. But that's the thing about the reality about the world is that, you know, there's this book, I didn't read it, but there's a book called All Organization is Oligarchy, right? And I think the premise is that, you know, when an organization becomes large enough, it can't even function as a democracy logistically. America, like a long time ago, I don't know all these things. I just hear people speaking. And one of the things people said was they bring up the word Tammany Hall, right? And Tammany Hall apparently was some you know, the New York state machine in a sense, where I think he said something along the lines of, it doesn't matter who casts the vote, it matters who counts it, you know? And you know, one thing I picked up on, because I occasionally used to, you know, sit at the ballot box, if you will, right? One thing I picked up on was that the police gather the votes at the end of the day, you know? So who's counting the votes is, I'm not saying that people count or don't count. It's just the reality is that there are so many instances. Not just that. There's the people. Everybody knows about this. The Electoral College that was specifically designed to say, let's not have a democracy in America. So you have like no one truly believes that America is a democracy. It's just, it comes down to propaganda, really, where propaganda has you singing songs about how, oh, you're a democracy, as opposed to, whatever Cold War enemy you have. But the reality is that, again, the founding fathers of America had no intention of it ever being a democracy. You have people like Tammany Hall, who's explaining to, his kid, if you will, how it like voting is important. It's about who counts the vote. And then you have the reality, like I said, some sociologist in the middle of like Italy or something is pointing out you can't even have democracy as a human species, just not logistically possible at this point in time. Um, so yeah, and I think that this individual made an excellent point about how, America's sabotaging every other election on the planet, and why the hell would they not sabotage their own? And I think people are not taking. Now, I'm not going to say that the parties don't mean anything, but what I'm going to say is that I think people don't take these parties seriously enough. These parties are fighting over power, real power. Even if we believe that there are billionaires behind the scene, absolutely there are billionaires, absolutely there are financiers. But these political parties are actually the, you could say duopoly, sure, but they are actually the two political parties in charge of the affairs of America. Um, and I mean, obviously they have, financial support from the outside, obviously. But that's not to say that they're not vying over something that is real, because or let's say really consequential. Because put it another way, none of us can write legislation for the United States of America. And if there's probably only 20 black people in the United States of America who can, and those would be the Congress people, right? The congressmen and women. And I believe that there was like no black senators or something like that. But like since Obama or something, maybe there's maybe two more, I don't know. But my point being, yeah, I think yes. I think if you're starting out, you say, let me critique America based on the fact that they're not really a democracy. But the reality is that nobody should have been convinced that America was a democracy. No one should be convinced that democracy is a real political system that can be achieved. And moreover, I don't think, and I think as far as the political parties are concerned, we have to really focus on the reality that these are the two uh, political parties of the United States. Okay, the United States. These are the two political parties. These are the two lawmakers in the countries, and the two people decide, and the two parties deciding the entire executive branch and the entire judiciary branch. So there's a real, this has a real consequential effect as to what laws you encounter, as well as who is judging your execution of these laws. I mean, who is judging whether you are following these laws or not? And me personally, like I always say, I would personally just leave that situation. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're in a country and other people are and there's two political parties, I would say take it seriously, because they're going to take it seriously. And I'm not saying that means to vote or not vote. I'm just saying that this is actually a really like writing laws for a country this massive of 400, I think, well, maybe like 300 million people, right? Is not a small undertaking. Take it, not a small undertaking. Taken, I don't know, in the least. But that's it. That's it.
So only is the fix in no matter what when it comes to the upcoming election? Is Kamala the choice?
Oh yeah, so that's so before Donald Trump won last time, I would have thought so, but I can't really say one way or the other because when Donald Trump won against Hillary, even though everybody didn't like Hillary, like everybody kind of thought, oh, the fix is in. You know, Hillary's just gonna win by default, blah blah blah. And the fact that she didn't win, although again nobody really liked her, but the fact that she didn't win and that this guy Trump just randomly came through and won, you know, again, I'm not. I wouldn't say that it's the fix is in. You know, I have no idea. I mean, I don't think. I think if there was a guy who predicted Trump was going to win, and I told him he was full of shit, and yeah, so I'm not going to say that.
I respect that. Let's go to Kofi. Kofi, is the fix in no matter what? Talk about it in relation to what you saw in the video.
This is gonna be a long one, Koku.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's gonna be a long one. I never heard someone that is so articulate, so well informed of what's going on, simultaneously saying the most stupidest shit, unhistorical, politically ignorant thing in my life of this bullshit. There's things in there that he says that I agree with. And I don't know how old this was because I'm thinking like, okay, this sounds, like it was old, but no, it's current because you're talking about what's going on currently. So the thing that I find that is very conspiratorial with him is saying that, oh, like you're saying, the fix is in. So it doesn't matter who you vote for because it's already chosen. Now, when people say stupid shit, how I determine it's stupid by seeing how it plays out in real life. So if voting is just a Ponzi scheme or something for the masses to make the thing the masses making on political decisions, why were black people weren't not allowed to vote? Where you have to have a voting rights act, where it's not even a law. Every couple of years they have to vote in again to see if black people could vote, right? Women weren't able to vote, right? There's gerrymandering. If you don't know what gerrymandering is, they redo districts. Mostly Republicans do that. They do districts so their people get more votes in their district to elect on a local level and also on a higher level. There's gerrymandering, right? So already from the beginning, it doesn't make any sense. It sounds stupid, right? When it comes to Trump and Harris, he was saying also that there were running mates, like, oh, they weren't picked. There was no DNC, there was no RNC, they had no one running for them. He's right. But he's saying this in general on a grand scale. Normally in past elections, yes, like the last election, Kamala Harris against Joe Biden, you had a DNC, you had an RNC, and things of that nature, right? But no one was running on the RNC. It was just Trump. No one ran against Trump. It was just Trump. That's more indicative of what's going on the right. Same thing on the left too. No one was running against Joe Biden. Well, no, they had people running against Joe Biden. They had several people running against Joe Biden, but obviously they weren't popular enough. They were out. They were out financed, right? So boom, Joe Biden was the Democratic nominee, right? He wasn't officially elected as the official Democratic nominee, right? That's when Kamala Harris came in because they were saying, hey, look, we're gonna have to pick a nominee, and that's why Joe Biden got out and Kamala Harris is in. So with just a limited space of time, there was no time to do a DNC and do all that other stuff when you got this much time. So strategically, it doesn't make sense to go with Joe Biden's second in command, which would be Kamala Harris, right? To do a DNC and waste all that time is bullshit, right? So that's one of my points where I see what he's saying, but he sounds fucking stupid at the same time, right? So yes, U.S. does rig elections. I like that he used Guyana. I forgot what hurricane it was one time. They went to Guyana one time. I think it was during the Clinton administration, and it was like, yeah, we'll fix the seawall and we'll fix this and fix all that thing. But you're gonna have to accept certain policies of ours. They're like, okay, what are you talking about? And one of it is like, I think they're trying to put like a Planned Parenthood there and stuff like that. You know, take your goddamn freaking money. We don't want your ass in this country anyway. But the last person that was in the last election in Guyana, when Ali became president, Mike Pompeo was over there, right? So yes, they do that. Just because they rig elections overseas doesn't mean elections over here is freaking fake. It's just stupid. I see where he's going, but it just doesn't sound. It doesn't make any sense. So this false equivalency also that he was doing with both parties being equal. Like, I'm trying to keep it short. That's just simply not true. When people say, well, they're two wings of the same bird, yes, they're two wings of the same bird, but one is fucking left and one is right, right? They have to operate in different different ways, right? So both parties are equal when it comes to the financial well-being of this country, period. They're fighting over power as far as like, okay, who's gonna get more money, right? That's all that is. Which party, because it's all American parties, which party is going to get more money? Which party's vision is going to rule? But the basis is economics, and they all gonna, they're all gonna control whatever part of government do that, right? That's one thing. So him also saying that it's that the Democrats rig elections like Venezuela with Maduro. That's I don't see any evidence of that. That's another stupid thing that he said. The closest thing that the Democrats rigging an election was when Bernie Sanders was running, when the same like when it was Hillary, right, is doing the DNC, and they were cheating on behalf of for Hillary Clinton during the DNC. They was giving Donna Brazile, they were giving Hillary answers so she could know what it is, so she could get prepared. That's not rigging an election like Maduro, right? So the problem is money in politics, right? So you give quote unquote campaign contributions, right? So when he says that, well, the voters or the people don't make the laws, the Constitution, it's the government that does. He's right in the way as far as like campaign contributions, legal campaign contributions you can make, right? So when Obama was running and things like that, people will say, okay, or any politician is saying, okay, you saying all this good shit or whatever, where are you getting your money from to run your campaign? Who's running your campaign? And he's right. It's Raytheon, GE, all these other corporations, stuff like that. So guess what? I paid for your campaign. Now you have to make good on me. So if I want like Trump, so if I am for fossil fuels and dirty and dirty energy or dirty coal, according to Trump, you could clean the coal and it's no longer dirty coal, right? I'm going to be against certain environmental protections to protect the environment, right? So I'm going to not be as expedient to do that, right? So he's right in that regard as far as like corporations doing it. But the whole voting thing is just ridiculous. So he thinks that the only thing that's at stake is money and not the law. And this is where another thing where he's just totally politically ignorant. He's making it seem like, oh, it's just about what's at stake in this election is just about money. It's not about, this is not a partisan election. This election is about keeping the United States government and its rules and its laws, if you like it or not, intact versus Trump, who said he wants to be a dictator on day one, versus Trump, who said he wants to get rid of the Constitution. No one on the Democratic side, no other president that ever ran or in office that ever said shit like that repeatedly and double down and don't apologize or say what it is. I'm not being hyperbolic. It's not hyperbole. This is what the man is saying. So when you have this guy saying, oh, it's just about money and control, and they both just want money and control. This one's if Harris is going to be aliens, if Trump is going to be some bullshit. Like, no, he sounds like a fucking alien. He doesn't know what's going on. To me, he sounds like a little bit of a plant. To me, personally, without even like mentioning that. So, for argument's sake, so if it's all rigged, right? It's rigged. The only people that try to rig an election or presidentially was Nixon and Trump. So that's what Watergate was about. So what's the big fucking deal about Watergate if it's always been a fix? Trump is the only person president on a grand scale that tried to steal the election. So he lost in Georgia because Georgia was a key state, and he's getting on the people in Georgia like, hey man, I just need it was like 11,000 and something hundred more votes. Go find them. But according to this fucking idiot, it's the fix is in, and this guy is saying that they already picked them. This doesn't make any fucking sense. You're gonna speak about politics. Know what you're talking about. Know what's going on the everyday. Again, if what he's saying is true, why is this happening? Why is this happening? That's that. If I was in a room with him, I would like to ask him these follow-up questions. So he said. So Trump is the first. Hold on one second. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Like a lot of things he was saying is true and indicative of the United States government. Yes. Or do corporations and money rule the United States? Yes, that is true. Did it interfere in international elections? Yes, that is true. But to say those things that I listed, that saying that it's the election is rigged and all this other stuff, he just sounds stupid, right? And the last question, I think you were talking about the last caller. He's like, well, he said the reason why Trump won. Trump never won the popular vote. And you guys were talking about the electoral on college. He won because he had more electoral votes, which we all know is a racist thing based way back, before the Civil War, right? He won because he had enough electoral votes. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, which he should have won. So when you want to talk about democracy being fake in that manner, yes, if you've gone based upon votes and you're supposed to get enough votes, and enough votes are supposed to determine what the American people want, then yes, I agree that's the way it should be, and that's how it's not democratic. You can do electoral college, and that's why Trump lost the last time, because again he lost the popular vote, and he didn't have enough electoral votes. That's why he lost. And that's pretty much it. I yield the mic. I know I took a lot of time.
That's fine. There's only a few of us on the panel tonight, so we have a little room. Erzulism had some objections to what you said. So I asked Erzulism to come up. Let's see if he'll come up or not.
Bring him up.
Yeah. With that said, let's hear what Buana has to say to everything. Is the fix in no matter what, Buana, in relation to what this gentleman spoke about in the video?
Not necessarily in terms of which party will be elected. I don't think the fix will be in there. But I personally think, and this is just solely my opinion, I think that democracy in the Western world is an illusion. I think it's an illusion. But the reality is that doesn't matter. As long as that illusion is real in the hearts and the minds of the voters, it doesn't matter if it's an illusion or not. They believe it's real. It's almost like having a conversation with a pretendian. A pretendian says, well, my ancestors is, I'm a full-blooded Cherokee, full-blooded. No matter what I tell that person, no matter the DNA evidence or the factual evidence I may show that person, if that person inhabit in his mind that he believes that he's an Indian, a full-blooded Indian, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I think that for most true believers, whether it's in religion or whether it's in politics and things that matter, it does not matter what this man is saying, even though I think that a lot of the things he was saying is true. And some people say, well, why would political parties even vote? If the economy of America is into the trillions of dollars, right? So political parties fight very hard to get control of that public purse, because that public purse is worth trillions of dollars, right? So as the different political parties want to get control of that party because they will be able to distribute the resources of that public purse and allocate it in different contracts to their own special groups, friends, families, lovers, all over the United States. They get to determine where the money flows and where the money goes. In particular, many of these people are connected to many corporations. They have their own personal interests and business interests into these other entities. So government contracts will be distributed, I think, up to 800. The government allows for $800 billion worth of contracts. $800 billion, almost $1 trillion worth of contracts every year or something like that. I'm not 100% sure in the United States. So if I know that, hey, I could have contracts to, let's say, make prison uniforms, make prison uniforms. My company or my friends who own this company, which I have 10% interest in, will have the contract to make prison uniforms, right? If I was to elect my candidate or get my candidate elected, but the candidate has also 10% of interest to that company who makes prison uniforms. Everyone stands to financially benefit and gain. So it's very important to have my political party or person get in power. So we have to stand, and we know what triggers the population and some people in population America. When you hear tough word cry, these kinds of things allow for people to vote for you, to people to get on the vote for you. That the brother Kofi just mentioned, money and law have nothing really to do with one another, not necessarily. But if I was to tell you that if I was to lock up a whole lot of people, then my company thrives, because now I could have a contract to produce prison uniforms and make a whole lot of money for it, because I will have use for those prison uniforms. So it's all connected. That tough on crime legislation was going to lock up a lot of black men. Yes, my company will, my private company will thrive off of that, because my friend, declares or issues or allocates private contracts in which I have a special interest in. And I know Kofi was talking also about in the past, he was talking in terms of America when he mentions ideas of redlining, which is important. When he mentions women's rights and women having a right to, these are social exercises. That was absolutely right and true in the past. This was before, I think, that America became a corporatocracy, where the corporations took over. Now the corporations are in control. Special interest groups, lobbyists, these people are in control of major legislations in the country. They determine major legislations in the country, because that's where the money is going to be flowing. Pharmaceutical companies, private prisons, the food industrial complexes, all manner, oil, gas, all manner things like that. These people invest millions of dollars into lobby groups to make sure their laws being enforced. So who you think the government is going to be more inclined to listen to? The regular person on the street who is just casting their vote, or the person who is investing millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to make sure certain legislations are signed? This is the reality of what democracy really is in America. If you look at America as a corporatocracy or as a business, which really the rank and file American person don't necessarily look at America. And I understand that, because that's not where they've been taught in American government and high school. They have not been taught that. So I don't expect them to look at America like that. But the reality is just the reality. The reality is just the reality. Maybe people say, well, Buana, that's your reality. Well, maybe so. That's just how I see it from my perspective. But I think that at the end of the day, you have to look in terms of looking at America. Yes, there are social concerns that is the hot button issues within America. But at the end of the day, You must look at America as what America actually is, which is a business. It's a business. It's about the money at the end of the day, man. You know, all this immigration thing that people aren't hopping on right now. Donald Trump has hired more legal immigrants than anybody because he knows it's cheap labor. He knows it's cheap labor. The American government does not want Americans. They don't want to pay Americans to pick fruit under a hot Florida sun. You know why? Because first of all, they're gonna have to pay them American wages, and second of all, they're gonna have to pay them insurance and all manner of different things. Which means to buy an apple out of the grocery store, instead of costing $2 per bag, it'll cost you $20. $20 per bag. Could you imagine that type of inflation? So these kinds of realistic conversations will never be had on public media. They will never be discussed, because how we look at immigration is like a football thing. But the reality is the corporations understand that cheap labor is the order of the day in America and other parts of the world. Why do you think they move their corporations outside the United States of America? Why do you think that they do that? Why do you think that? Because they getting they getting the best of both worlds. Donald Trump said, okay, we're gonna close the door. But really and truly, we're going to close the door, but we're going to still sneak these immigrants on the side because we need these people. We need these people to perform cheap labor. But on political platforms, I'm going to sound tough on crime, tough on illegal immigration, when in fact, the corporations and many of his buddies and him himself will hire immigrant labor. You know, but like I say, man, I think it's all connected to money. I think it's all connected. I think that to separate the politics from the social issues, from the money, I think that is an illusion in terms of how we look at democracy. But I'll end it there, bro. To let someone else go.
I appreciate that, Buana. Thanks for that. Erzuliism is here, but before I have Erzuliism speak, I want him to anchor the conversation as it's his topic. Let's welcome in Real Black Gentleman. Real Black Gentleman, how are you this week?
I'm good.
Good. Real Black Gentleman, in the chat you said, that's that inevitability balderdash. You said the guy is using 5-syllable words to try to be expertish. You want to expand on all of it? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like the way he's portraying the whole electoral system in a matter-of-fact way. He smooths over a lot of stuff. I mean, only made a point about the when you have a country of so many millions of people, and you're actually trying to have, an electoral process in the midst of whatever else could be going on in that country, people working, people doing this, that, and the third, the trueness of the people's will is never quite like expressed. Now, that's not to say that like you can't actually invest in trying to have an optimized electoral system, yet and still that requires a population that is relatively managed. When you have random people crossing into the threshold, your whole population is disturbed. You can't have a steady count and try to, assess, if are we really going to try to get like 80% of the people who can vote to vote? When you have random people coming in who could be throwing off the vote, so that's the whole idea of having, the immigrants come in and then, they're undocumented, but they get to put their hands all over American documents. You know how that works? It's like there is that. So if there is any fix, is that things aren't fixed. You follow me? The only fix is that the things that are broken continue to be broken for an ostensible advantage for one party or another. That's all. I mean, I know it's some shenanigans. I know that. I mean, there's all kinds of the voting machines, it's all kinds of stuff. You know what I'm saying? People saying Kamala's husband's was on the board of one of the voting machines. I mean, that's critical information. Like, you're not you know, your hands are, you know what I'm saying, you have involvement in that, you have influence over that. So there's things where it's just like, you know, yeah, is there a fix? Yeah, because things are broken, or the machine's going to be not foolproof.
That's
Yeah,
not true. That's not true, bro.
What's not true?
That is a right wing talking point about the voting machines being broken. The machines that were being used were Smartmatic and Dominion voting machines. That's a right wing talking point. Fox News kept saying that the whole time.
Okay. What's not true about it? Elaborate the untruth in it.
Well, there was the people that was propagating that propaganda was Fox News, right? Fox News kept saying that. So the people that kept saying that during the election, the voting machines were Smartmatic and Dominion voting on machine system. Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, was doing all this bullshit and stuff like that. You guys could fact check me while I'm talking, right? Dominion voting machine and Smartmatic, they sued Fox News for defamation, for saying that's a lie, because the whole propaganda with that was like, oh, Maduro is put those that come from Venezuela, and Venezuela is the one that provided the voting machines, and it has Wi-Fi and all types of stupid shit in there. Fox News lost, and they had to pay those people millions of dollars, right? Ooh, all of a sudden,
Hey yo, I never mentioned anything. Well, wait. I have to jump in because like
Okay.
I just want to make it clear because I never mentioned anything about, you know, what I said is that when you're that close to situations, I'm not gonna sit here and say that do you know how foolproof these voting machines are? I know that people can say things, but this goes back to, like I said, about global warming. Like, do you know anyone who can verify this for real? Because if you can't, I mean, I gotta take all information. You can't sit here and tell me that with all this spying that we can do with all this electronics, and we have everything smart, but it's incredibly dumb. You know what I'm saying? All this smart technology is not that smart. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and say it's outside the realm of possibility that, yeah, voting machines can be hacked. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I mean, if it's not hacked, there's going to be a whole look. I can't say with good faith that these machines are all that. I think it would be better to have a lot more, you know, old school, you know, methods with like modern, you know, ways of like verifying these things. I'm not a big fan of the voting machines my damn self. I'm just going to keep that a buck.
Okay,
I'm not going to say it. And even though it may be right wing, I mean, I'm not, you know, I can say that, but just because something's a wing, don't discredit it. I absolutely. And I mean, my whole thing with a lawsuit is that my whole thing when you try to like say defamation of character, like Dominion can say that, oh, you're defaming my character. Get away from me. Don't like inquiry any further about that. You see where I'm getting at? Who is the me? Is the me in the hood? What is the median to me or you?
Hold on.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish though.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I'm encroaching your time on your time because it is your time, but I just wanted to respond to that. So basically, what you're saying is that there's no way to prove just because it's electronic. You're inferring from what I hear that because it's a machine, it has Wi-Fi access and Wi-Fi capability. I have a modern electronic a record player that my wife got because I got a whole bunch of albums, vinyl. Right? It has no Wi-Fi capability. Just because you can plug something in doesn't mean it has internet access, Wi-Fi access, or Bluetooth access. So that is what they're trying to say. So they're going to go to a court of law and say that, right? Now I'm going to be honest. I didn't read the whole case, but emphatically, Fox settled because they couldn't prove it. They couldn't prove it. Not that everyone would know. Like, why would someone create a voting machine that's supposed to be by the government, supposed to be unhackable because people try to steal elections? Why would that make that Wi-Fi accessible? It could easily be hacked, right? It just doesn't. It just doesn't make sense. It's a talking point. It's things that people say, but they can't validate. That's like saying, "Oh, my electric shaver has Wi-Fi on accessibility." It does no, it doesn't. It doesn't. oh my calculator that operates with the light that has Wi-Fi capability. Anybody can say that, but technically speaking, is that a possibility? No, it's not. That's why I'm saying
what I would say is that, how would I say it? You know, the FCC puts on every like machine, like you can't you can't use it to interfere. It has to accept any interference that comes in it. This is the FCC. So I mean, we're talking about electronics, right? So
Yeah.
it's not that any machine can't receive interference, and this comes into what I'm trying to say. There's very, very, very sophisticated. I mean, there's ways. I mean, a lot of times it comes into ones and zeros. Things come into ones and zeros. I'm not saying. All I'm saying is that, you know, people can forge things on paper. You can make fake names. I think that when we're talking about, you know, our will and our voice, I never said, you know, I want a voting machine. You see what I'm saying? This is what, you know, again, rich people try to convince people that, yeah, it'll be more efficient, you know, because, you know, yeah, and maybe to a degree it was, but sometimes you should take a step back after making a step forward. Maybe when you have better technology that can make, you know, more how would I say you know, low tech things, you know, just have more validity, as I'm saying. I think sometimes you might, for me, I think you should go back as far as the fix. I said everything that I said. I think that he's trying to make it seem like that, I don't know, that there's an inevitability about it, like I said before, and that it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter one way or another, and that you should kind of give up your guard. That's all I'm going to say. I'm gonna pass the mic.
I appreciate it, RBG. So with all of that said, you've heard everything everyone else had to say. Azuliism is the fix in no matter what. What say you?
Hey, what's up? My whole thing with this is that we have this grandiose put us on a high pedestal that, oh, this can't happen here. What this guy is just saying is that if whoever controls the big business making money could control, I'm gonna use my own country, Haiti's economy. If they could decimate the rice economy of that country, if they can invade that country through proxy governments, they did it in Haiti, they did it in the Dominican Republic, they did it in what's that? Venezuela. They do it everywhere. So what this guy is saying is that, why can they do it in other countries and not do it here? At the end of the day, money counts. Big business rule this country. If it's not about money, all these politicians, mad corruptions we've been saying lately. The mayors in Chicago, a couple of them are under the microscope for corruption. Judges are under the microscope for corruption. So if the lower level could be corrupt, so the election can be. It's not even about that. What is the fact that a lot of people in here believe so much that this can't be possible. It's because the Republicans. The guy said it only happened twice, when Nixon was there and when Trump. Also, the Democrats are superb. They always do the good things by the people. They never shit on the people. They never shit on black people. They never shit on other countries all over the world. It's not them. So
I never said that. You're mischaracterizing what I'm saying.
That's basically what you said. You said
no, I didn't. No, I did not.
Oh God.
I said
Bro,
what I said.
Then you could come after, my guy.
All right, you're right. I'll mute. You're right.
Joe, what I heard you say, it was Nixon and Trump that did that. All this man is saying is that at the end of the day, whether it's the lobbyists, the people with big money, whatever they wanted to shut down the country in 2020, nobody could have done anything. Shut down. So for people to say that, in 2020 during COVID, mad people lost their jobs, homes, everything. Nobody could have done anything. Even people didn't want to shut down their business, you had to shut it down. So those people that had said, oh, that thing will protect us against everything, come to find out it was a lie. The shorty that you're riding with, Kamala, in 2016, she said, yo, I'm not gonna, in 2020, whatever, 2016, when she was running against Biden, oh, we're gonna stop frack, we're not gonna do fracking in America. We're not. She just got on there and said, I will not stop fracking. So what changed? What changed? Or maybe the money changed her mind? This guy is just saying, he's just saying that at the end of the day, if they could manipulate the whole world, and I'm not on Republican or Democrat, I'm talking about if big business could manipulate the world all over, so you think your election is divine? So this is the thing that these super Democrats don't understand. And then if anybody never saw this movie, go see Inception. Don't try to convince anybody. Just make them believe they came up with it on their own. Then they will never throw away that ideology. So at the end of the day, this man is just saying that, yo, open your eye. If they could do it over here, why can't they do it here? Hillary said that Trump stole the election with Russia. Nobody bat an eye. So it's just crazy to me that we so deep, especially black people. They're so deep into the Democrats, they could not be like, no, maybe no. So I mean, I think all this guy is trying to say is that be vigilant, open your eye, and don't fall for the sucker shit. Fall for action, not for words. I think that's what he's saying. But even though I think at the end of the day, he's probably saying that, yo, whatever, it's big money that's talking. So that's what I have to say.
I will add before Kofi goes and others who want to add a thought here. I will add that I appreciate Uzuli bringing it back to that basic point. I think that's basically what was being said here, is that it's about big business. Big business is what runs shit. Look, even colonization in Africa and stuff was initiated by business and stuff like that. By businesses. There was a time before I let you guys go. There was a time when Umar Johnson used to preach this a lot, and you guys will let me know if you remember it. But he used to talk about how the leadership in America is chosen by I want to say it's the Bilderbergs or something like that. But there's some council that goes down and they have to go and speak to these people. The two candidates have to go and speak and kind of represent themselves to be chosen. And, whoever's chosen is the one who's best at carrying out the will of the money, so to speak. So you guys, I want you guys to give me your follow-ups, but also speak to that point, this idea. Do you think that there's this idea that these people are ultimately chosen based on how well they present themselves to the powers that be? Kofi first, and then anyone else after.
I can't say, I can't even answer that question because I would like to see proof of that, because we're just saying this is what somebody says. So I would like to know where he got that information. I don't do conspiracy theories or especially on matters on things that we should know is either true or is not true. And I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole with conspiracy theories. So to answer that question, I will have to say no, because unless the evidence presents itself to me otherwise. You want to get other people to answer that, or can I respond to the brother that went before?
No, you can respond. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So he sounds like a closet Republican, because he said he's not a Republican or a Democrat. Like, I keep bumping into people that say they're independent, but all their points is Republican talking points, right? So I did say that Trump and Nixon were the only people that were to do a coup, to try to circumvent the elections, right? I'm not even saying they were all Republicans. That's where the breadcrumbs lead, right? That's just history. right? And I did not say, I did not say, this is where I say he's misrepresenting what I'm saying. He's trying to say that I said that the Democrats don't do nothing. I never said that. Democrats, he said, Democrats do nothing to black people. Democrats don't do nothing to this. I never said that. I don't know where you get that from. Like, it sounds like you were in your feelings. I never said anything like that. I would never say anything like that. I'm an independent. So I could talk shit about the Republicans and I could talk shit about the Democrats, right? Right now, it's just that this time more than usual, the Republicans is just a flavor right now because what the things that they're doing is unhistoric. He also said that COVID is a Democratic thing and that wasn't real. So again, I'm gonna try to be cordial. That's just unscientific and just ignorant, right? COVID happened. You can't blame. Matter of fact, COVID happened during the Trump administration, not the Democratic administration. So I don't know why you blaming the Democrats for closing on businesses and stuff like that when Trump was in office. And Trump is the reason we mismanaged COVID. COVID wasn't Trump's fault, even though he was saying racist, calling the Chinese this and Chinese that. COVID wasn't Trump's fault. Him mismanaging it, saying it's fake, and other people that are just fucking stupid and have less than a sixth grade education saying that COVID's fake and is this all that. That's what was going on, and that caused more deaths, right? That's what happened, right? So COVID is not a lie, right? Yes, and you are right when you said Kamala Harris, she changed her mind because at the beginning when she was running, she was saying, "Oh no, she's against fracking, she's against fracking." Yes, and then they asked her again, and it's like, "Oh, now you're for fracking, you change your mind." So she's getting beat up for changing her mind. She could do that. At least she was honest enough. Because we expect politicians to lie. At least she was honest enough to say, "Yes, I changed my mind." And America right now is producing more oil domestically now under the Biden administration, under Trump. Please look it up. I want someone to tell me that I'm lying or my information is wrong, right? So all these things that he's saying, I understand. I'm not going to say that the the thing what the gentleman was saying is absolutely true. Money rules this country. I would not. That's not what I'm trying to undermine. Yes, the United States government interfere in other elections. The thing that gets my goat is him saying that our vote doesn't count when there's many dozens of examples of people domestically in government and out of government is fighting to get votes, to take votes away, gerrymandering, all that other stuff. That and him trying to put this just overshadow and gloss over that we're at a particular time in the United States where the political landscape and the things that's happened in the last administration is spilling over into this administration right now with this election is unpresidential. There's no other example. So when people are foolishly and ignorantly enough to say, well, and just use and just comment and address what's going on right now, like it's it's 2008 or a past election. This is different, and that's what gets me upset. That no one says what happened in January 6th. No one's saying that Trump said he wants to get rid of the Constitution. No one's saying that Trump wants to be a dictator. But then we got a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's the same on both sides. It's the same on both sides." No, it's not. This is not a partisan election, right? You have Republicans that are endorsing Kamala Harris, right? You have so many people that's endorsing her right now is because of they don't like the bullshit what's going on with Donald Trump. Mike Pence, he says he's gonna hang his fucking vice president. Is that fucking normal? So what people saying is that fucking normal? Mike Pence is not even endorsing. More than half of Trump's cabinet is not endorsing him. When has that ever happened in a time in history? Fuck your feelings. When there was a time in history where something like this has happened that you just think, oh, it's just the same old bullshit. That's my question I asked the panel, people listening, or anything like that. When there was a time in history where you president said, fuck the Constitution, fuck the United States, I want to be a dictator, and the person doubles down on it. I'll just leave it right there.
Point taken there, Kofi. Point well taken there, as a matter of fact. With that said, you know what? I know I was going to give it a free fall moment, but Black Seal just returned. Black Sea, what are your thoughts on this? And then after that, anyone could give their last thoughts.
Is this AI?
Nah, it's real.
Okay.
I've seen him before. He's
So
real.
so I didn't catch. I caught snippets because I was driving, but I do see both political parties. And there's some issues between the two, but I think the fact that that Republicans are endorsing Kamala Harris as a bad sign, right? When you have people like Dick Cheney, you just call him Darth Cheney because this man was, he was well known oil profiteer. He supported the war in Iraq. He opposed Martin Luther King Day. He opposed so many things. And the fact that you have someone like Dick Cheney supporting Kamala Harris, it just kind of lets you know how far to the right we moved how far to the right that the Democrats have moved. And I think this is the overall problem. There's no true left in the United States. There's only right and there's center right. The Democrats are definitely center right, whereas the Republicans, they're just outright insane fascism. But the problem is that when you keep voting for the lesser evil, eventually you get evil. Right. So the Democratic Party is more willing to embrace a war criminal like Dick Cheney than they are to stop the genocide of the Palestinians. This is how fucked up American politics has become. Every time we keep voting for the lesser evil, there's certain things that we're just accepting. Okay, we accept the fact that these billionaires ruin our country, but we gave them money anyway. We accept the fact that 90% of our drone bombings overseas kill civilians. But you know what? At least it's not Trump. So now we're saying it's okay to genocide people, but at least it's not Trump. So I think a lot, but then at the same time, we see the threat that Trump and the Republicans represent to quote unquote democracy in this country. Because America is more of a republic than a democracy. We have a representative democracy. It's not like a direct democracy. People elect those to represent them. And then those people vote on behalf of their constituents, which is how it's supposed to work. But then in reality, you have Supreme Court cases like Citizens United that basically legalize bribery. Corporations are people, and they can lobby, aka bribe people, which is what they're doing to get their demands met. So I certainly understand the dilemma that comes with it. So you have a group that says, hey, fuck this Democratic shit. We're not doing this shit no more. After this, you don't even got to vote no more. We got this shit locked down. We're good, right? Which is in opposition to the very idea of what American democracy is supposed to be. But at the same time, many presidents have kind of skirted the line, right? They've skirted the line. They've done things that made you question, but they've never gone full out. I'm taking this shit over, right? Like Trump, I can name a couple of examples. You got people like even going back to Abraham Lincoln, when people spoke up against him, he had their ass locked up. They don't mention that part in the history books, but he had people imprisoned for speaking out against the way he was conducting the Civil War. But no president has gone as far as Trump. Like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm with all this elected shit. That's done. Ain't gonna be no more elections. So I understand the existential threat that Trump represents, and his ideas for his cabinet, and how they want to transform the government. And they want just not just the government, but for the executive branch, right? They want to eliminate all the cabinet positions and the other things that employ thousands of people. They want, and of course, the Supreme Court has already bought and paid for. You got, we always talk about Clarence Thomas, but the other justices, they're bought and paid for too. We know what side they're on and what side they're going to continue to vote for. And the idea is to any gains that Black people, Latino, any marginalized people in the United States, any gains we've gotten since the Civil Rights Movement, they want all that shit gone. So that's the ultimate long-term goal. And that's the threat that we face. Back in the day, when Roosevelt tried to push through Social Security, and they said it was unconstitutional. Roosevelt said he was going to pack the court till he got enough justices to approve it. And there's nothing written where you say you got to have 9 justices. You can put as many justices in there as you want. But we have a Democratic Party like we got right now who don't have the balls to do it. Trump gave Biden a loaded gun. He's sitting there with his dick in his hand, not doing nothing. So, I mean, I see that you really caught between a rock and a hard place when we understand it. But for me personally, I don't like any of the choices that we have for elections this year. And I see both parties, you know, even though they made their goals and their methods may differ, but their ultimate goal is the continuance of American imperialism. There's one thing the party they never disagree on. They never disagree on war. They never disagree on how much money we can give to the military. The Pentagon has failed every audit it's had in the past 10 years. So there's no accounting for that money, and you don't hear any people in Congress or the Senate or the executive branch saying, "Hey, you know what? Where's some of this money going?" But they'll sit up here and they'll tell you they don't have enough money to feed children. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Can I build upon that too? I 1,000,000% agree with what you just said, brother. I just want to say 2 points that you said. That's 2 points that is very, very. It's on my point. So the war was happening on in Gaza, right? You have some Republicans, they like to say, well, we don't like war, right? But at the same time, they don't understand it's U.S. policy, right? Like you said, to support Israel. So you're going to be in war no matter what. They picked the side. They got people going to Kamala Harris. You got people, Palestinians, going to protesting at almost every rally that Kamala Harris goes to, right? At least she's like, hey, me and Joe, we're working on a deal for a ceasefire. At least he's saying that. Trump is like, no, fuck you. You got Jared Kushner saying, yeah, we want Gaza to be beachfront property. Like when fucking people say that the 2 parties are even or the same, no, it's not. They're both going to support Israel no matter what. But you got one that's held to a moral standard, and the other one is like, nah, just white supremacy, wipe them all out. So that's the weak part about the Democrats, and because for people who may think that I'm a Democrat. Another thing that you said also is about, yeah, you could pack the Supreme Court justice with as many people as you want. But see, at least the Democrats are trying to do it, and like Roosevelt, do it within the confines of the law of the Constitution of the United States. Trump is like saying no. So again, when people say it's the same thing, it's not the same thing. But that's why that's one thing I hate about the Democrats, right? And I do lean more left, but that's why I do not like calling them a Democrat, because they're fucking weak. And one last point that I'm saying, and it's going to go to one of the reasons why I don't think she's going to do anything for black people like that. I mean, we're all Americans, but there are also black Americans, right? So one thing that I hate about the Democrats, and I was cursing like a sailor, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they're in office, right? I think they had a majority in both houses, if I'm not wrong. I think they had a little edge on in the Senate, right? And John Lewis' birthday came up and shit like that, and they went on Al Sharpton, Black Caucus, Kamala Harris. Everybody's marching on Edmund Pettus Bridge saying, we shall overcome, singing Negro spirituals. We need this to be done for black people. We need this to be done for black people. I'm like, bitch, you're the fucking vice president. While y'all marching on a goddamn bridge, I'm not saying to do January 6th, you also be marching on the White House stuff and slapping the fire out of Kamala Harris. Why the fuck are we marching? You guys were marching to get some semblance of power and recognition. You have a black woman in there right now, Joe Biden during his acceptance speech saying we're going to do the George Floyd this and this, that. The weakness and feckleness of the Democratic Party, especially people within the Democratic Party, they vote and they just, after that, they just shit, sleep, and don't do shit for another 4 years. That's the weakness of the Democratic Party, and that's why I don't not like the Democratic Party. That's why I like the Republican Party. Right or wrong, they're going to fight tooth and nail. Doesn't matter. They're going to fight tooth and nail. That's the thing I admire about the Republican Party, but I'll leave it right there.
One thing I would say about the Democratic Party is the Democratic Party is where social movements go to die. right? So any type of social movement, the Democrats are going to co-opt it and they're going to smother it in his crib. That's what that's the goal of the Democratic Party. Is they're going to, oh, that's a great idea. That's why you have Medicare. Remember when what's her name, AOC was talking about Medicare for all
You went out.
yeah, all that stuff. Now she ain't even talking about it.
Well, that was Bernie. That was Bernie.
That's Bernie too. I'm ashamed I was a Bernie bro. I'm ashamed of myself. I look in the mirror every day with shame because I thought Bernie was decent. He turned to be another Zionist dog.
So
how? Anyway, I'm going off topic.
So I say this to say that a lot of what those brothers said prove the point that this man is talking. This'll be the day that Dick Cheney, one of the top people that African American and Black people say is a number one racist, is now giving kudos for supporting Kamala. Bernie Sanders twice gathered all the youth votes and twice let us got out of the race and gave it to some bullshit. So what this man is saying is that it's all games for them. It's the same side. It's good cop versus bad cop. Bad cop. The primary, Shorty didn't even. When was the last time that the Democrat didn't allow the people to choose who they want to run? How did Kamala just pass through and be like, oh, I won the primaries?
There was no primary. Maybe you didn't fit that. So
No, I know
you're looking at one side only, not looking at the whole thing. There was no primary for Trump. No one was running against Trump, and no one was running against Biden. So that accusation goes on both sides, not just the Democrat.
Now they did run against Trump. I mean, remember DeSantis ran against Trump, but the Republicans fell back.
Oh yeah. My bad. And yeah, my bad. And then there was it wasn't. Yeah, there was, but
it was a foregone conclusion. We know Trump was going to do. It was a foregone conclusion.
We all knew there was a conclusion that Trump was going to win. But I'm saying, at the end of the day,
but he wasn't chosen. You're saying like they went eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Nobody was going to. Trump was going to win the nominee regardless. All of that shit that they were playing, that DeSantis and that Indian guy, it was all game. They knew Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
So at the end of the day, I'm saying this: we are here. This man is back to what I'm saying. It's about that. It's good cop versus bad cop. Yeah, everybody wants to believe. Oh, especially Black people. We want to believe so much in the Democratic and the Democrats. That, oh, no, they couldn't possibly use it. We've been claiming that they've been using us for votes, and brother just said it. They use us for vote and don't come back. What's the difference between what you said and what this man is saying?
Because what he is saying that it is picked and your vote doesn't count, and that's a lie. What we are saying is that they take our votes for granted. Those are two different things.
Well, let me interject. I do think. I mean, I actually agree with Erzuli and what the speaker is saying, because they're hearing everything. You know, one thing I want to make sure is that we don't get into what is considered Democrat shilling, you know? And I say that to say, one thing is that the Democrats are not weak. The Democrats are not weak. It reminds me of this quote I heard from this brother, Michael Graves, I guess, but he said, you know, if you go to the Democrats and you ask them for money, they say, it's not that they don't have money, it's that they don't have money for you. The Democrats are the most powerful political organization, like one of the most powerful political organizations on the planet. And if not the most powerful political organization in America. If not top two. They are not weak by any stretch of the imagination. What they're doing around the world is showing exactly what they're capable of doing. They you know, the question comes up, why are you protesting at Kamala's campaign? She is the vice president right now. She is the vice president, and Biden was the president. No, is the president right now. So the person who has just sent Ukraine money, the person who's just sent Israel money, the person who's that's Biden. You know, and the question becomes, why would you not protest the people who are doing this right now?
So can I ask you a question? So do you feel if if you feel if it was Donald Trump would say he's not giving money to Israel?
Well, again, so this is the thing that we tend to do, right? Again, this is what he said. He said that we create these nemesis. You know, I've heard countless times, this is the most important election. This is the election. This is it. Fear mongering for decades. This is the worst president. It's nothing like this. It's unprecedented. It's unprecedented. It's the same story every 4 years. You got to go out and vote. This time is going to be different. This time is different. This time is different. What we know is that right now Joe Biden is the president of United States of America.
My question though, I want to know if Trump was the president right now.
Trump was the president, and we don't see and is there a parallel to what's going on right now?
No, because you keep saying Democrats and Biden, Democrats.
No, all right. What I'm saying is this: Trump was the president 4 years ago. Did we see blatant genocide going on in Palestine?
So
in 4K.
So
no retaliation. I mean, for the past 75 years.
Exactly. So you're blaming what's happening right now on Joe Biden.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, right now, yes, you would blame Joe Biden.
That's not true. That makes no sense.
But what we're saying, no. Right now, you would blame Joe Biden. Who else would you blame?
What's been going on?
No. Sorry. What I'm saying is, right now, you would blame Joe Biden. Who else would you blame?
Why would how? Okay, so how is it Joe Biden's fault? Elaborate.
How is who? So who's the one signing the check for Israel right now?
No. You said the reason why there's a war is going on right now, right, is because it's
I'm asking who's the one signing the checks for Israel right now.
Your question is it Trump's fault? And you said why would it be Trump's fault?
How is it Trump's fault?
Joe Biden's the president. So I'm asking you, how is it Joe Biden's fault?
How is it Joe Biden's fault that he's signing checks to go to Israel right now?
It's not about science. You said we're at war, and there's a war going on, and because it's Biden. So I'm asking you, how is it Biden's fault that what's going on there in Israel?
America's not at war. America is sending billions upon billions to kill Palestinian children with no pushback whatsoever. America is sabotaging United Nations efforts to stop what's going on there, and Biden is right behind it. What are you talking about?
Okay, so this is my question. So it's not Joe Biden's fault. So what do you mean it's not Joe Biden's fault?
Joe Biden has done the most blatant. Now, hold on a second. We have to be realistic. Right now, this is the most blatant.
What you're failing to realize right now is that no matter who is the president, it is American policy.
No, you can't say that because Trump was already president.
It's not American policy.
Only let him finish. I want to hit a point.
Wait, I was speaking.
Israel's not an ally. Israel's not an ally of the United States.
I want to hit a point.
Go speak. Tell us how we didn't see anything like this in the last 10 years, but somehow this is Trump's fault. Go ahead.
Are you serious? The Palestinians have been occupied by.
Yes,
Israel.
the Palestinians have been occupied for a long time, but we're talking about United. So when was the United Nations? When did the United Nations stand up for Palestine in the last 10 years?
You're moving the goalposts.
No, I'm not moving the goalposts. I'm telling you that Biden has been remarkably worse for the situation.
Joe Biden specifically, you blame an administration.
He's the president.
What's going on? Let me talk. You're blaming an administration, right, and a person for funding Israel. And I'm trying to say you fail to realize that is our ally of the United States. And since the founding of Israel, the United States have been given hundreds of millions of dollars to Israel. Same thing with Ukraine. They're also our ally. So to say, just because they've been in war and what's been happening over there, what's been happening on June or whatever happened when they attacked the compound, that's Joe Biden's fault, it doesn't make any sense. You might as well blame what's going on. So you're gonna blame on Vladimir Zelensky?
What do you mean it doesn't make any sense? Even if you're the ally, look. Even if you are the ally of Israel,
gentlemen, we've gone a bit off the topic now. The question was about the fix being in or not, no matter what, right? I respect the conversation. I do respect the conversation. I wish we could have had it in more detail, but I got other topics to get to tonight, right? I was gonna ask if there's any last thoughts, but here's what. Kofi or Oni, put up a prompt for next week. We'll continue the conversation and we'll be able to give it a bit more time next week. All right.
Oh wait, I just wanted to. Sorry, I was cut off earlier. Just again, I was waiting patiently. I wanted to say that I did run a political party. No, I was a part of a political party in New York City. It was the Freedom Party. It was going to be the second all-black political party in America, probably American history or whatever. And I wasn't like a leadership. I was just a grunt. But yeah, the Democrats definitely sabotaged it. And we know that the Democrats are sabotaging a lot of third-party candidates in this country. And just to belabor the point, none of us chose Kamala. Not that I wouldn't agree with Kamala, but none of us chose Kamala. So the question is kind of self-evident as to who's picking her, because none of us picked her. And that's all I'm going to say. Not that I don't like her as a candidate. It's just that realistically, nobody did pick her. That's all.
All right. Thank you guys for that. Again, you could bring the conversation back. I'm sorry if others had something last to say, but we spent a lot of time on that topic. And I'd like to get on to at least two more if possible